On December the 5th, 2013, I was mugged behind my house and I received a nasty blow to my head and it necessitated a visit to the hospital to be stitched both for head and mouth. The police investigation consisted of them telephoning me and my turning around and saying to them I didn't want to meet them that day, but I would meet them in a couple of days so that we could discuss the issues. Now there was, yes, a delay in them meeting me, but it was not, in the end, my fault because the police officer who was concerned, who was supposed to be meeting me, decided to go into court and see a case through. I proceeded to visit the police station 4 times to ask to speak to the investigating officer. Each time the investigating officer was not available. Eventually I saw the police. I saw a inspector, I saw a supervisor, and then I eventually saw this particular police officer, who shall not be named because I do not wish to slander or defame in any way, shape or form, and get myself into trouble. Now, the problem being here with this is I was interviewed under a flight of stairs in the police station without an appropriate adult. The reason I say appropriate adult is because I have ADHD and ASD. When this was mentioned, it was mentioned as a result of accusations of being on drugs because I was aggressive and confrontational, and it must have been the cannabis I was smoking at the time. I proceeded to get quite angry. I think anybody who didn't do drugs would get angry at this point. I then turned around and explained the situation. As I was walking out that I didn't take drugs, I took a particular medication. Police officer then denied saying this, so I made an official complaint. I then decided to apply for compensation for the incident that occurred. And the reason I decided to apply was because mentally, physically, emotionally and or otherwise I had been quite badly affected, and various reasons my relationships with other people have been affected. Now, they said, the compensation board said no, that they weren't going to give any compensation, reduced and or otherwise, because I didn't cooperate with the police properly, nor did I cooperate with the police efficiently. Well, what I actually did was their job. I drew a map of the area where it took place and everything else. And in this interview, where I was accused of being on drugs, when it was denied, they asked me for the clothes I was wearing that night. 3 weeks after I was mugged. Who wasn't cooperating with the police? Who wasn't cooperating with the investigation? Who wasn't doing the things that they were supposed to have been doing at the time? I do believe Medway Police themselves, the investigating officer who denied saying I was on drugs, wrote me an apology letter that stated, I'm terribly sorry, but I do believe that you misinterpreted the conversation. I used to be a social worker, yes, and therefore I know what ADHD and ASD is, and I know that those who have ADHD and ASD do not react aggressively towards those who are trying to help you. Were they trying to help by accusing someone of being on drugs? I think not. Now, again, the application was rejected. Again, I had to appeal. They have rejected again, and this appeal is probably my last one I can make before going to the Ministry of Justice, which I am going to do, because the letter stated that there is no proof that will say that I am completely blameless, or a blameless victim, shall I say. So I walked down an alleyway behind my home, turned a corner, got smacked in the head, had my wallet stolen, and I invited this. I don't think so somehow. And now, 2 years later, I am still mentally affected by this whole event, and I am still trying to tell my daughter that the police actually do a good job, that they are there to help people. I'm not a hypocrite, and yet I have suddenly become one. And this is not fair upon my daughter, myself, or anybody else who knows me. So, what would you do? Would you sue the individual police officers that lied to you, who have been shifted to a different police station? Would you sue the police force itself, who say that they have actually implemented into place things that deal with what ADHD is, what ASD is, and inform their officers how to actually guide and encourage officers on the interviewing of those people with ADHD and ASD. The Disability Act in 2010 and 2012, all of the updates state that we are vulnerable people and that we should be treated in a manner that is conducive to getting the correct answers and things. The problem being is I wasn't even interviewed in an interview realm by the investigating officer, and yet I am the one that is now feeling as if I was the one that was the problem, that I was the one that shouldn't have even bothered involving the police. So guys, what would you do?